my daughter, who was 22 at the time, had read all of Dr. Joe Dispenza's books. And she came to me and she said, "Mom, there is something you can do. This is not going to get you. You don't have to listen to the doctors. You don't have to be a statistic." In June of 2019, I was diagnosed with lung cancer. And I was a single mom with 4 daughters. And it was a pretty serious diagnosis. And it was pretty devastating to me and my girls. And as I started my journey, I was not in a good headspace, and I was pretty down. And the doctors always give you the worst case scenario. And then it metastasized, and so they said, "Well, you now have stage 4 metastatic lung cancer and you're terminal." And so they didn't even want to take out the metastasis where it had metastasized. So I had to find my own surgeon to do that. But in the meantime, my daughter, who was 22 at the time, had read all of Dr. Joe Dispenza's books. And she came to me and she said, "Mom, there is something you can do. This is not going to get you. You don't have to listen to the doctors. You don't have to be a statistic." And it took me about 6 months to get on board because I was not in a good place. But I finally started reading them and I was hooked. I read constantly. I had them on Audible constantly, all of them. When I was in my car, when I was walking, running, everything. So that is what gave me the courage to find a surgeon who could take out the metastasis and say, "No, I'm not going to let this beat me. I'm not going to listen to the statistics." What really helped me get through all of this, I was doing chemo, I was doing radiation. It was a lot to deal with, and I was trying to be a mom to my girls. And what helped me was Dr. Joe's teachings. All the science. I started meditating. I wasn't a good meditator by any means. I was a beginner. But just hearing him every day tell me of the healings, of the miracles, of the science, of the statistics is what kept me going. Eventually, we got into a week-long retreat, my daughter and I had just finished chemo, which did not help. I had done all the radiation I could, and I had a scan 3 weeks before I came. They had taken out almost all of my right lung, so I had just had the upper lobe left. And they said, "We're sorry to tell you, but it's back in your upper lobe, the little piece of lung you have left." And I was devastated. On the second day, one of the volunteers came up and said, "Hey, we want you to do the coherence healings." And I was so grateful. And at that point, I was still not doing well with meditation. I was okay. But we did a meditation on the 3rd day, I think it was, the heart and brain coherence meditation. And that was the first meditation that I had ever done where I was not there anymore. And I was somewhere else. And so after that, we did the coherence healings. And I can't even tell you, there's no words to say how you feel in those. Just the power of the energy when everyone walked into the room is silent, but you can feel them when they walk in. It is literally like angels walking into the room. It is so powerful. And how I felt, I will never forget. And I will be forever grateful. And my daughter got to be part of one of them, which I'm extremely grateful for. But all of those people were angels in my life. I saw a bright white light. I thought, why do they have this spotlight on me? I wish they would, shut it off. It's so bright. But it was just this white, bright light. And I knew that I was healed. I went home and I've had scans every 3 months, and I had one the week before I came here, and I've been cancer-free ever since. So it's not only changed my life, but all my girls' lives, all the people in my life. And before I left that beach in Cancun, because Dr. Joe always tells you, you have to leave the sick person behind and you have to leave as a new person. So I went down to the beach where I had spent a lot of time while I was there, and below this tree where I had meditated, and I told myself I was leaving the old self there, and I wrote all my kids' names and my grandkids' names in the sand so that my old self wouldn't be lonely. And then I left her there, and she hasn't come back.